right, we're live, Juice. What do you think?
Can we say good morning Vietnam like Robin Williams?
Do it.
Nah, I can't.
Good morning, Vietnam.
Yeah. Adrian Cronauer.
That's a good movie. Good flick. Good flick.
Oh yeah.
So it's raining a lot today. We needed some rain. It was getting dusty.
It is.
But be good for our grass. You know, I never until we got horses here, and they eat grass, obviously.
Really?
You know, I like rain now because the more grass they eat, the less feed I got to buy. So
I don't have horses, so I have to cut that grass
Right.
on that 2 acres
Mhm.
with that old rotary push mower.
Does your back like it?
No,
You can borrow my mower if you want.
no.
Okay. All right. You're just going to punish yourself with a push mower?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that your physical fitness?
No, I get on the riding mower and do it.
Oh, I got
But
a zero.
it's still no good for my back.
So I got tired of mowing all of our stuff, so I just put horses out there. They'll chomp it down quick. So,
I can't afford horses.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's better than mowing, bush hogging all the time.
Yeah, no. I'm not doing it.
All right.
I'm a dog person, not a horse person.
All right. Your daughter would probably like horses.
Yeah, she likes any animal.
Oh, she's an animal lover.
Yeah.
Good. So today, talking about court testimony.
Ooh, a few good men.
So
You
some,
can't handle the
you
truth.
can't handle the truth. I did order the code red. That's what he said.
I know.
He said it with more emphatically than I just said
he
it.
had a little more gusto.
There's that bug again. It don't come around to the recording button starts.
I know. It's crazy.
So some reasons why we're called to testify. Okay. We go out and gather evidence of adultery, of child custody issues where we're showing that somebody's not parenting properly or, not taking the kids are in danger, those things.
Right.
We may get called in to testify, attest to what we saw. All right. Have you ever done that before?
Yes.
All right. Tell me about your situation.
So I got called in on a car accident when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
A woman rear-ended a guy and just totally demolished his car and took off.
Right.
So I got called in. This was out in Cali. I got called in to testify because they actually found the woman. And I got called in to testify for what I seen. Not really a huge thing, but for somebody that's never been in the courtroom as a witness before.
You're a young guy, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I just got stationed out there.
Right.
And it's a little nerve-wracking when you're like, oh, God, I got to go in front of the judge.
But it's nothing now.
No.
How many times did you testify as a police officer?
Several. I've testified in cases. I've testified as a character witness for somebody. I made the judge mad and the prosecuting attorney, but that's okay.
All right. Would you call them stupid or something?
No, I kind of told them they had no testicular fortitude because they weren't military and didn't understand it.
Oh, okay. So you weren't a good witness.
Yeah, I was a good character witness. I just made the judge mad and the prosecutor.
So in our job, though, as private investigators, have you testified back when you were investigating down in Florida or anything?
Yes.
You did? All right.
Yes.
So ours can be boring. So you may wait around in the hallway for 3 hours, go in and go, yes, and get up and leave.
Yeah.
I've done it before.
Yeah.
You go in, it takes longer to get you sworn in than it does the testimony takes.
Absolutely.
Because I just need you to say one or two things, to say, yes, we recorded this.
Oh, yeah.
Now I've done them before where I get grilled by the other side before too, though. So we've got I go in there with my little report, right? I print it out.
Right.
Because a lot of these courts won't let you take electronic devices in for whatever reason.
Right. Because
they don't want you to show how corrupt they are. Did I just say it out loud? I said it out loud.
That's a Freudian slip, but it's okay.
That is. You ever testified in Wetumpka?
No.
Okay. That's one of the most corrupt jurisdictions in the world.
Oh, imagine that.
You cannot take a recording device in there because they've been called out on 2020 before about how it's a kangaroo court. But that's just me.
It is what it is.
Huntsville, you can Madison County, you can take your phone in or a computer, a lap. If you got a tablet you're reading off of or whatever. Yeah. I read off my phone in there before. Morgan County, you can. DeKalb County, you cannot.
Well, we'll let that one set right there.
We live amongst them, right?
Yes.
All right. Anyway, I go in. I usually have my report print out.
Right.
And I read it verbatim. They say, "What did you see on this date?" And I read it. I saw blah 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 blah. And they want you to speculate the opposition. I'm like,
that's not what we do.
I'm like, I don't remember. I'm like, it usually happened 6 months ago. I can barely remember what I did yesterday. I can just go off what was written down in the report. I read it again. I saw blah, blah, blah. And it makes them mad because they want you to try to speculate, say something stupid.
Oh, yeah.
The opposition does anyway. But I don't get outside of my report. I can't remember. You say yes, no, or I don't remember. That's pretty much it when the opposing side. Now, when the side you're working for talks to you, you'll get into more robust answers because they're going to ask you your background. They're going to say, hey, what did you do? And you're going to tell them what we did. And I've been called in before where I told them, hey, I was not the one that did the surveillance. Remember the report I sent over to you, Mr. Lawyer? And they're like, I don't care. I want you to come testify to it. And I said, I can't.
Yeah, I didn't do the report.
It's hearsay, right? Is hearsay allowed?
No.
Not supposed to be.
Well, yeah, not supposed to be.
In the civil trials, it's a little more Wild West in the civil trial, anyways.
It is.
It's not as I don't want to say it's not as serious. The rules are a little more loose in a civil trial than they are a criminal trial. Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
And it's designed that way. Civil trial can turn into lawyers shouting back and forth at each other. I've seen that happen. I'm like,
oh yeah,
I'm on the stand and they're yelling at each other. Me and the judge is like a tennis match. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, the judge is letting it go on. The judge is laughing.
Yeah.
I've heard the judge say, he'd hit the gavel and say, I just needed some entertainment for the day. It was boring.
Right.
So it's more of a looser scenario.
Right.
Does that make sense? Now, you still have to pay your respects to the court. I still wear my suit and tie in there just because I got respect for the court system.
Right.
And the judge is the jury. So you want to have a good impression with the jury.
Right.
You do. Civil cases can go to a jury, but we're talking about domestic relations, but they rarely do go to a jury.
Right.
Usually civil cases that go to a jury involve misdemeanors, but this is more, it's almost like being sued. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it does.
What's your experience in the courtroom, Jus?
So it's pretty much the same, except I've gone to several police academies, law enforcement agencies, and had various academies I've gone to. The best person, her name is Heather Harris. She's an attorney in Merritt Island, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
That woman was absolutely hands down the best person to teach legals and courtroom procedures because she broke everything down.
Right.
Your presence is a big thing in the courtroom. Your appearance, big thing in the courtroom. The way you testify, how you testify, whether it's defense or prosecution. She would do court prep, and then we would have these little mock courtrooms in the classroom and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That woman absolutely, hands down, could prep you for a civil or criminal case, and she wasn't afraid of any judges.
Right.
She let them have it.
Right.
But very professional. There is a difference in civil and criminal, but you can actually get classes and prepare for courtroom testimony.
Right. There's class. I've taken a few out there. During the U.S. Army Military Police Captain's Career Course. Ooh. That's the closest thing I've been to an academy, Jus.
That's still pretty intense.
But we did a mock courtroom. We actually played the judge, but we had a script we had to go by.
I was going to say, you got to play all the parts, so you got to play judge, prosecutor, and defense, right? Yeah.
If you're the judge, you had a strict script you had to go by. Okay. They were grading you more on as being a witness. So,
right.
But they would make us do some courtroom testimony prep.
Yeah,
and,
there's a lot that goes into testifying in a courtroom. Everybody sees all this stuff on TV. It's really not like that. We were making fun of A Few Good Men earlier.
Right.
But that's a very good example of courtroom behavior.
Yeah.
Courtroom testimony. I think that's one of the best ones.
All a court martial is a federal courthouse. That's all it is.
Yep.
So they got the jury pool is different, but it's
still a jury.
Still a jury of your peers. It's just different. The way they bring them in and all that. So,
right.
And you're following the Uniform Code of Military Justice as opposed to the Constitution. It's the Constitution supersedes it, but they get more specific with the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
Unless it's Article 134.
The catch-all?
Yes, sir.
We just don't like you, so you're in trouble.
Yes.
That's what that is.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I don't want to get into military too much, but your commander has some leeway too. How they can punish you to almost like at a misdemeanor level to keep them busy in the courtroom up. But you can also always request a court martial, and they get all excited when you do.
Yeah, not all the time.
Like Dick Winters in Band of Brothers, he requested a court martial.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But all right, back to the courtroom. So we get called to testify. I did one in January. I had to go testify from a case where I did surveillance on it from June, 6 months before, just about.
I'm sure it was so clear in your memory.
I had to report. The good thing is we have a system where we write the stuff into Crosstracks, and we may forget about it for a year. But we go, oh, what? Who are you talking? They say, we need you to testify. We get a subpoena or whatever, and you go look it up. Oh, yeah. Okay. I remember now. And you can only testify to what we put in that report. That's it. I would love to speculate and make up stuff for our clients. They would love it too. But we can't.
We can't do it.
All right. But yeah, we get called in there typically in the morning, and I'll go up and let the lawyer know I'm there, that we're working for, and say, hey, I'm here, man. And they make you sit out in the hallway. You ever done that before?
Yeah, take a crossword book or something with you.
Take your phone, something. Or you could even, I've taken my laptop and actually done work out there before.
Yeah.
Emails or whatever.
You could be waiting 30 minutes or you could be waiting 8 hours.
Yep. I've waited up to 3 hours before. I've actually waited there in the morning. They took a lunch break and I had to come back and waited till 4 o'clock.
That's awesome. Because you don't have anything else you have to do.
I'm getting paid though. Some clients don't want to pay us for waiting, but we're going to get paid. Or we're going to have another civil suit.
Right.
Well, you typically wait out there. Sometimes a lawyer will come out and do a little prep with you. Some people think we go into this the day before. We just grinded it out in the lawyer's office practicing. No, it doesn't happen.
It's minutes before you walk in that door.
They'll be like, hey, this is what we got you here for. We just need you to talk about, usually they've already hashed out the other parts of the surveillance report. There's a specific part that they're arguing about.
Right.
That didn't happen or did happen or whatever. And they just going to ask you questions about that. I'm not going to say his name, but there's a lawyer. We do work for him. And I hate it when we're opposed to him because he's excellent in the courtroom, but he makes it a big theater.
Yeah.
And I've actually heard the judge say, hey, quit with the theater. Let's just get to the point. You know what I mean? So
theatrics are everything in a courtroom sometimes.
Yeah. And if I'm being convicted of a felony on the criminal side, I want them to make it as muddy as possible.
Oh, right. Absolutely.
That's good. But in a civil case, come on. They either cheated on them or they didn't, or they abandoned the children or they didn't. It's based off the evidence we're showing you.
Right.
But anyways, he is theatrical. And I got cracked up one time. He goes, is something funny? And I said, it is. Just like that. And the judge started laughing.
Oh yeah.
It's funny. It is how he does it. I kind of respect it how he does it, but he's trying to make it as muddy as possible for the opposition, which is good. All right.
And me being a former thespian, I can appreciate a good theatrical show.
You've yet to sing for us on the podcast.
One day
we'll do it.
One day.
Neil
Diamond or something.
Neil Diamond. Is that? Yeah. Was that ever in a play?
Sweet Caroline. Yeah. We'll sing something one day.
All right. But yeah, you wait around, man, and you may wait around and go in and say yes or no.
But sometimes you get in there and they start grilling you. Whoever you're working for at that point, if they're a good enough attorney and the questions are out of line, they'll put a stop to it before you can answer it. I always like to hesitate a second just to make sure I'm able to answer this. But some people get caught up and the opposing attorney will ask something and these people start answering it before the defense attorney or prosecuting attorney put a stop to it.
Has time to stand up. Yeah.
So just give it a second. There's other little, I don't want to say gimmicks, but there's little things that you do to make sure it's a smooth testimony.
Right. So I got called in as an expert witness on a child pornography case where I was supposed to have done some forensics on a device down at the forensics lab in Tuscaloosa.
Right.
But they didn't allow it. The problem with it was the cop did his own forensics on the phone.
What cop? The case?
The guy, the arresting officer.
The arresting officer did digital forensics on a phone.
Yes.
And he was qualified. He was certified. He was trained.
He was not.
Oh, imagine that.
He watched it on YouTube. But and I got called in to be, hey, this is how forensics goes down, digital forensics goes down, right?
Right.
And now I went down to do the judge says, you go down and do your own forensics on the phone. And don't leave the lab, right? Because it's got child pornography on it. And I got down there and the arresting officer was there. He overrode the lab director.
You can't do that.
He did.
You can't do that.
He's just causing more problems because this guy's going to walk because of it. I'd have no idea if the guy had child porn on his phone or not. I wasn't allowed to do forensics. So, but if I did them, I was called in to outline how it goes down, the steps taken.
Right.
But we actually have a manual for that. You're studying it now.
Oh, imagine that.
You're taking the stuff now, right?
Yes. They just delivered it at my house yesterday with a forklift.
Yeah, it's a big manual.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
That's where it comes from. But it's mile 2, by the way. Ding. Shameless plug for mile 2. But so you can come in as a direct witness where you actually saw the stuff, material witness, right? Or you can come in as an expert witness on the cyber, use it typically digital forensic side,
right,
where you're called in. We could actually be called in on a case we're working now where we did a reconstruction. We're not reconstructionists, by the way, but we just did it because to get a reconstructionist, it costs you about $20,000 to come in and do it. So we just did it. And we're not getting into the injuries on the body. That's the big thing. We're just kind of showing, was it possible to move a body?
Probability
of moving a body from here to there.
Right.
So now if they wanted a recreation of injuries, yes, you'd have to call a medical doctor in or a nurse practitioner that's trained in that kind of stuff. But we're just going to, because I've done recreations before and they just called me in to say, to go through my testing methodology. You know what I mean? Now, back to the adultery stuff a little bit. One of the big things that gets brought up in testimony is how is when vehicle trackers are used, okay? And they say, my side, the side I'm working for, the friendly side, would say, did you use a vehicle tracker, blah, blah, blah. And I'd say, yes, we did. And I would start, and the opposing side would stand up and object to it, saying that I'm not a scientist and I'm not an engineer that knows that the calibration of the device is correct. And it held up. The judge said, okay, don't talk about it anymore.
Okay.
I was okay. So we just had to go based off what we saw in the camera lens as opposed to what was on the vehicle tracker data.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. I'm not an engineer.
You're not the judge either.
No, but the judge runs that room.
Yeah.
So.
If he says it, so be it.
Right. I was like, okay, all right. But my client still got what she wanted anyway. So, but any other thoughts on testimony, Jus?
No, it's like I said, I learned it several different ways, but she was the best, and there's just ways to act and behave and answer questions. Not that you're being coached to lie or anything like that, but there is there is a theatrical presence when you testify.
Right.
And I would advise anybody that thinks they're going to be in that situation to get with somebody that's been there, take a class, and learn how to testify.
Right. So I got some things not to do. I wrote them down. Not to do for testimony.
Oh, the juicy ones.
Here's what not to do. Be argumentative.
That doesn't help.
No, don't argue with them. Huh. You're not going to win.
Huh.
You're not going to win with arguing with the opposition. When the opposition's question you, yes, no, or I don't know. That's all it is, man. If something else coming out of your mouth, it's speculation.
Yep.
And that's what I'm speculating outside of your report, outside your work. All right. I think, unless you're called as an expert witness, I think should not leave your mouth. Right?
Well, I don't think those two words should be uttered together in a courtroom anyway.
Right. Now, if you're called in as an expert witness, you can say, give your thoughts. They're going to ask you
to.
But
it's based on your education, your experience, your training,
And you did do a report. You did some kind of test on some kind of computer or whatever. Right. And I'm still not getting outside my report. So, dressing like a bum.
Yeah, that I don't think that drives me crazy when I see people in a courtroom dressed like slobs.
So I was called to testify. This was last year, and I had on my suit and tie. I was in the hallway, and there was another guy sitting there with his flip flops and shorts on. And I was like, he must be here for another hearing or something later today, because non-professionals will go in the courtroom looking like crap, if they're there for DUI, whatever, you
Right.
name it. They'll just come in dressed however. But this was the opposing private investigator that the opposition hired. He came in and testified with his flip-flops and shorts on.
Very professional.
I've seen judges kick lawyers out because they were dressed like bums before. Hey, go put on some professional clothes and come back.
In which they should.
Right. So yeah, don't dress like a bum. Not speaking clearly is a big deal. So I've seen it before where I speak pretty loud and clear to begin with, but that court reporter has to be able to hear what you're saying.
Right.
And I've seen people mumbling in the microphone and they're just like they're about dead.
Very unprofessional.
And they just mumble and mumble. And the court reporter keeps going, say it again, say it again, say it. You know what I mean? Because they're trying to type what you're, this is an official document, right? They're typing up. Just speak clearly and loudly. If there's a microphone, make sure you're talking into the mic. Because a lot of the court reporters have their headphones on and they're listening to what's going on and they need to be able to type it up. Being disrespectful to the judge. If you want to see how quick you can be handcuffed, smart off to a judge.
It doesn't go well, I can tell you.
It doesn't go well. I've seen lawyers get smart with judges in court and they get handcuffed and spend 24 hours in the pokey.
Yes.
For contempt.
Yes.
Contempt's a very broad. The judge has a big wide road they can use there.
That's that 134 catch-all right there.
Yeah. So don't be a smart aleck with a judge.
Right.
Don't be a smart aleck to the opposition. There's no need to be argumentative and a smart aleck to them.
Right.
Just take whatever they're putting out there, get on with your day. Yes, right. No, I don't know. That's what you're saying. So don't be disrespectful to court staff. Your magistrate that's in there helping, a magistrate is an assistant to the judge, right? They do stuff for the judge, like basically an administrator for the judge. No need to be a smart aleck to them.
Nope.
They will get you, and that won't get you very far.
No.
Don't be a smart aleck to the court reporter.
That'll get you hemmed up in something you don't want to be in.
Don't be a smart aleck to the bailiff. If the bailiff is telling you to go do something, go do it. Just if he says stand here, stand there.
Yep.
All right. If he says take your phone outside, take your phone outside. Don't bring it in with you. Whatever. I've seen investigators. I'll sit there and watch them argue with the bailiffs. Because the bailiff is like the security for the judge
and the courtroom.
And they said, hey, you're not allowed to have phones in here. And they're like, well, I'm bringing my phone in anyways.
No, you're not.
Well, you're not coming in here. So
you just maintain that level of professionalism. You're more.
Right. One thing I've seen in Madison County, in the old building, now they got a new building now that they're working on. It can be confusing of where you're supposed to go in there. Like there's two witness stands, right? And I like to go there beforehand. I'm meticulous. You know how I do things. I like to be prepared. I'll go in and say, hey, which one of these do we set in? So I don't look like an idiot walking to the wrong one. So,
right.
I just want to know what it look like. I want to know this guy knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? I went into Cater's one time and I was walking up to the wrong one and judge knows, oh, it's over here. And he says, I'm going to get a sign that says sit here. I'm like, that would probably help, sir.
Yeah.
But he's laughing about it. But I don't go to Morgan County. I've been to Morgan County twice. Now, Winston County, you should try that one out. That's like what's that old book that was written by the lady in Alabama? Oh, man, it's a great book. I can't believe it. Atticus Finch is the lawyer.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, man. To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh.
Yeah. It's like going back in time to the 30s. Right. I mean, it's old. There's no air conditioning.
So it's not like My Cousin Vinny.
No.
The two Utes.
There's no air conditioning in the summer.
Right.
Ooh, you talking about hot.
Yeah.
Especially you got a suit and tie on in there. You sweat. But it's just different from where you go. And you go to Jefferson County, it's all nice and modern in there. So, but I'd like to get there early and get the lay of the land. I'll make friends with the bailiff, talk to them a little bit.
Yeah.
If I can get them a coffee, I'll get them a coffee. You have to get there early, see what's going on. I get there early sometimes, and I'm more prepared than my client's lawyer. They come running in with a stack of books and not ready to go.
Yeah.
And they're
I've
like,
seen that.
And they're like, "Hey, can you go make a copy of this?" Sure, I'll go make a copy for you.
Yeah,
I will.
absolutely.
If I can help my client out, I'll do it. But I like to get there early and be prepped and ready to go. What do you think about that?
Yeah, the old sayings that we had in the military: if you're on time, you're already late.
Mm-hmm.
I like to get there early. I like to be prepared. I don't want to look like an idiot
Mm-hmm.
sitting in there not knowing where to go or who to talk to.
Right.
So I'll get there if it's a court date. I'll get there extra early.
Right.
Just to do the same thing, talk to everybody, talk to whoever court security is.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a great thing.
Right. So down in Wetumpka, I got there early, and the DA, I was in there just hanging out, talking to our lawyer, and the DA made me go sit outside the building. Like, she goes, "You're not allowed in here." And I'm like, "I thought this was a public place." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
"Well, I don't want you in here right now." And the lawyer's like, "Just go outside."
Wow.
Yeah. And they had to call me to come in. I'm like, "Okay."
That's crazy.
Because it was a murder case, a Rule 32 murder case, and he did not like my report, I guess. So,
well, oh well.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
All right, that's all we got on court testimony, Juice. Anything else you want to add to it?
No, just if you got to go, maintain that level of professionalism. You're more believable, and your testimony is going to hold a lot more weight the more professional you are.
Right.
Period.
It is. All right. I want to sign off with say bye, Juice.
Bye, Juice.
Yes, that's our signature. Bye, y'all.